Hello and welcome to the 24 Minutes of Heaven we call the D1Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Patrick Rooney III. Want to let you know that it's time to prepare for takeoff because Academy Sports and Outdoors is your new home for Jordan Brand. Swag up today and take flight on the court, off the court, and above the court. Making plays in the latest head-to-toe Jordan gear is fun for the whole family. The Jordan collection is available in-store and at academy.com. Elevated styles and shoes for everyone. Unstoppable value every day. Unleash your greatness with the Jordan collection at Academy Sports and Outdoors. I am joined by the Air Raj, the great Kendall J. Rogers.
Definitely would not associate me with air jumping high, anything like that.
I got you pegged, Kendall, in an 8th grade basketball game, just like getting 23 rebounds. I think you would be a tremendous rebounder.
I'll be very honest with you. I was not bad at basketball. The problem is, like my dad used to always tell me when he coached me, is that I was like one of the tallest guys on the floor, and I would get the ball down low and then dribble out to the three-point line and shoot. Apparently, that's frowned upon in the game of basketball.
Well, I don't know. In modern basketball, they might like it, actually.
Yeah,
but Yeah. Gotta love it. Hey, Kendall, let's do this. This is going to be a turbo pod alert, because we're going to wrap weekend 11 and we'll cover the major points. And then we're going to do if you're looking for information on the Mississippi State coaching change, Kendall has got a piece up on the site as we're speaking. And then we're going to close this pod and we're going to do a separate pod on that. That will be a turbo pod too. But we wanted to give that, obviously it's a huge job in college baseball and we wanted to give that its due. So Kendall, I'm just going to run you around the country here. The SEC, there were really 2 series that were, national, and you were at both of them, or at least, kind of sort of at both of them. Let's start with the one you went to first. You went to Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And, the LSU Tennessee series was everything you wanted. It was chippy, just like it said. Mm-hmm. I think LSU Tennessee on the SEC menu had the little symbol for spicy, and the menu did not lie. It lived up to it. Go ahead. What was your big takeaway from LSU's series win?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was, coaches, and you've been in that box before at third. You know what I'm talking about here, but coaches often say that, like, you just never know. Like, be ready because you have no idea what might happen next. And I think that Friday game is a prime example. I mean, Tennessee, Liam Doyle threw outstanding in the first game. Tennessee controlled that entire game. Then all of a sudden, a couple of Dean Curley errors, a couple of base hits, a walk, and then all of a sudden Jared Jones hits one to Mars. Game over. LSU wins at 1:15 in the morning. And then the next day, Tennessee bounced back in really impressive fashion. Marcus Phillips, that was a guy, Rune's kind of coming into the season that, we saw his potential, out of the bullpen last year. It was an electric arm, but it needed, the mechanics and the command and things like that needed to be refined. It looked very refined over the weekend. I mean, it was, he struck out Derek Curiel in the 3rd inning on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, had a really good feel for the slider. The changeup was 90-91. I mean, it was insanely good stuff. And so that was, encouraging as the Vols move forward. The outing that he had on Saturday, and then Cannon Peebles, offensively was really good on Saturday as well. And then Sunday was interesting. I really thought when Jay Johnson started Casey Evans, I was like, well, this was unexpected. And then, he goes out there in the 1st inning, struggles a little bit. But, Casey Evans has elite stuff for a freshman. Other than Dylan Volantis, you can make an argument it's the best freshman around the country. And so, he went out there after the 1st inning and just dazzled. I mean, he was excellent the rest of the way, pounded the strike zone, premium velocity, really good, off-speed stuff. So you kind of wonder, if you're Jay Johnson now, have you found your number 3 starter, or do you want to use him in a role where, hey, if you haven't had to use him in the first 2 games, then you start him? I think Jay has a little bit of a dilemma on his hands. I'm of the camp that if you finally had somebody that went out there on a Sunday and gave you a great start, put them in that role. Let the other guys kind of figure it out in the bullpen. But, my takeaway is LSU found a way in the end. Derek Curiel, had a huge game with 2 doubles on Sunday. Evans stepped up. I come away from this series feeling better about LSU. I come away from this series honestly like unchanged about Tennessee. It's a very weird feeling because you look at a team. It's kind of like Arkansas. You look at a team that has lost, 3 other last 4 series. And naturally you would think that I would be like, oh man, I'm a little concerned, but I still really like this team. Like I love Doyle. I loved what I saw from Phillips. Obviously the Sunday starting role, like just getting extension out of that role for Tennessee is still a question mark. But, Nate Snead and those guys at the back end of the bullpen, Tanner Franklin, I mean, I still like those pieces. So I hate to say it after 3 series losses out of 4, but I'm still all in on Tennessee right now overall.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's, I'll do LSU first. I think if
Sure.
you're Jay Johnson, a lot of coaches have this debate in their minds like, hey, do I want to set my pitching up where I could potentially win all 3 games and have a really set, rock solid rotation? That works. Like we see that nationally. Teams that can do that, it plays. Or do I want to just play to win 2 out of 3 every weekend? And that, and I'm with you. Like if I was Jay Johnson, I would let Kason Evans thrive in that Sunday role because he's so talented. But either way, like pray for the problem. Jay Johnson's got options. And then for Tennessee, I'm with you. Like I remain convicted they're the most talented team in the country. And, they basically won the series, right? Like they didn't clearly, but outside of a weird 9th inning in game 1, like they even extended the lead in the 9th inning, right? Like you could argue that Jay kind of conceded a little bit. He threw Jacob Myers in the 9th, who's, kind of his wild card guy. And so, but hey, LSU deserves credit for the comeback. They had to earn that. They needed some help from Tennessee, clearly, but you still have to earn it. You got to put the ball on the field, etc. So, again, like it was 2 great teams going at it. It kind of leads me to A&M, Kendall, because Texas is they're such a magical team right now. I loved your analogy that Texas feels like 2021 Arkansas because, Arkansas had this incredible position player group who played such a clean brand of baseball, and they had Kevin Kopps. Texas has that. They have this really compelling position player group, and then they've got Dylan Volantis and Max Grubbs at the end. Now, hey, they already lost Ballou, and then now they've lost Jared Spencer. Like, you keep waiting for the shoe to drop. So I'm torn. Like, Texas, their magic just keeps continuing. And for A&M, I'm concerned about them still, but yet one at bat changes all 3 of those games. They could have swept Texas. Like that could have happened.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll start with Texas. I mean, these guys just continue to step up. I mean, when I picked Texas going into the weekend, there were a lot of people kind of going in on A&M because the Aggies have been smoking hot the last couple of weeks. Texas, I lost Jared Spencer. You're thinking, okay, this is the weekend that someone trips them up. But, I mean, again, Andre Duplantier comes out of the bullpen yesterday. I think it was 5 innings through, 5 really good innings for Texas out of the bullpen. Grayson Saunier closed the game out for him yesterday. Offensively, Jaden Duplantier had big hits throughout the weekend. Tommy Farmer, I want to say that was his first home run. He had a big home run in one of the games over the weekend. So the thing about this Texas team is they're going in typical Schloss offensive approach fashion. They are going to grind down pitchers. You're going to have to make a really good pitch to get their hitters out. And they just found ways, especially the bottom of the order, to get hits because there were a couple of those games where, Rylan Galvan did not have a loud game, or guys at the top did not have a loud game. And yet the middle to bottom of that lineup kind of picked up the pieces a little bit. So, they have a 2021 Arkansas feel. And I'm not saying they're going to get beat in the postseason. But what I'm saying is if you look back to 21 Arkansas, they always found ways to win series. And it was like, every weekend you're thinking like, how did they win this series? And yet they somehow found a way to do it. So I love their vibe. I just think this is a team that to beat them, you're going to have to lay a haymaker where they can't get up. And it's very difficult to do that, especially at Dish Falk Field. So that was my take on Texas. For A&M, it's one of those things for A&M that where they could not get the key hit. I don't have the number in front of me, but I want to say they had 1 or 2 hits the entire weekend with runners in scoring position. All 3 games, they had the tying run or the winning run as well on base, and just could not get a key hit. And when you're on the road, you've got to be able to get some of those guys in. Some of the execution was bad. They had a situation there in the series finale. I think it was Ben Arroyo, guys first and second. You want to bunt to third. Instead, he bunted to first. Kimball Schuessler makes an awesome play and gets a lead runner at third. And then, game over at that point because Texas was able to get out of the jam. So I thought Texas executed really well. I thought A&M's execution lacked. But still, I think when you look at A&M, there are pieces of this team that you're like, hey, I don't want to play these guys in the postseason. Like their outfield defense was awesome over the weekend. Offensively, I don't think they're going to have very many weekends where they score that few runs, especially with Sorrell and Lavalette. So I still think they're scary. Now they just got to find a way to get in the postseason. I mean, right now they need to get to 13 wins. That means sweeping Missouri. That means getting one against LSU at home this weekend and getting one against Georgia on the road. I think if you're A&M, you'd really like to win 2 this weekend against LSU at home. Tall task. And that way it kind of gives you a little bit of flexibility going in that Missouri series.
Yep. Oh man, it would be a nightmare to receive A&M as your 3 seed. That will just be not fun, especially if your park doesn't play big. Kendall, let's do the ACC. So I'd say 2 big results in the ACC. Yeah. NC State, after having a 5-game losing streak right around weekend 2, they went 0-3 at the Jacks Classic. NC State sweeps Clemson at home. Clemson's first weekend loss in loud fashion. The other big result was Louisville wins the home series over Florida State. So, like my questions for you, I'll give you 2 questions, but go wherever you like. NC State, like, is this the best team in the ACC is the question I keep asking myself. And for Florida State, my question is, oh man, is it the same as last year where we have a great team, but we don't have enough pitching?
Yeah, let's start with NC State. I mean, you talk about a hot team. I mean, just going back and looking at their resume, since the Duke series loss, they've won a series over Virginia, Louisville, Cal, and then, of course, the series sweep over Clemson. The thing I really liked about NC State this past weekend, they scored, 14 runs in the first game, 8 runs in the second. But the thing I really liked in this series is I would say Clemson's a pretty offensive team. And, they held the Tigers to 8 runs in 3 games. I mean, that's really encouraging for a team like NC State that historically is pretty good offensively. So that, I think that's kind of a big takeaway for me. I mean, they're 15-6 in the league, kind of looking at their postseason hosting chances. They're 15-6 in the league. They continue to climb in the RPI. They've got Miami on the road, North Carolina on the road, Stanford at home. So, I mean, I'm thinking if they can split the next 2 series and then win the Stanford series, they're in a really good spot. I mean, they should be a host team already. It's just the RPI isn't quite there. But, I love the feel of this Elliott Avent team. And, I think we talked about this on the group chat a while back, Runes, but it feels like NC State always does this, right? Like there's always this little lull early in the season where you aren't real sure what NC State's going to be. And then all of a sudden – it's like, boom, here they come. And that's kind of the same story with NC State this year. For Florida State, I think you bring up a good point there. I think if I'm Florida State, you win the series opener 10-2, but you come back, Runes the next 2 days and give up 23 runs to Louisville. I mean, Joey Vellini gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. The bullpen really struggled for the Seminoles, in that Louisville win. But I feel like when I look at the cards, it just seems, Eddie King Jr. and Lucas Moore and guys like that, it always feels like they come up. Jake Monroe, they're getting so much production up and down that lineup. Michael Lippy was another guy who over the weekend had some really big hits for them. Tate Davis, we've talked about him so many times, just an electrifying freshman. That is a deep lineup. And that is a scary lineup. So, Louisville this past weekend still had a few injuries. Forbes is still nicked up and things like that. So, I think this is a really dangerous team, moving forward.
I'm with you. I think Louisville's. I know they're trying things with their pitching. And I love that. Yeah. Tucker Biven he started the Sunday game, and I think Louisville's offense is as good as anybody's. It's just what you described. So dynamic, so much power. They can run. It's really a special group. It's a matter of if the pitching holds up. And maybe that's the thing. Like, I am worried about Florida State's pitching depth, although I do think it's better than last year. Maybe it's just a Louisville offense. Here's something on NC State, KR. They threw 6 pitchers to overwhelm Clemson. That's it. They used 6 arms. Jacob Duden threw 1 inning. Derek Smith's still not back, and Cooper Consiglio didn't throw. So it's like, again, the NC State coaching staff is phenomenal. Hey, so we don't have to talk about the Big 12 because I want to save it for the Nerdcast.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna point out one more team out of the ACC real quick, if you allow me.
Please.
The Miami Hurricanes.
Yes. Big sweep.
Brad Smart was at Fenway and at Chestnut Hill over the week, or I guess Brighton is what they're calling it now. Miami Maroons. This was a team that 3 or 4 weeks ago we were wondering if JT Arteaga would have a job next year at Miami. All of a sudden, that's not even a question. I mean, they've won series in the past few weeks over Pitt, Duke. Georgia Tech swept them at home, by the way. We talk about really nice jobs by pitching staffs. How about Miami 2 weekends ago only allowing 8 runs in 3 games of G Tech, who we know can hit. And then this past weekend, they go on the road to a BC team that, by the way, BC was kind of a bad side of the bubble team that if they won the series, might put themselves in contention. They go up to Boston and just sweep them. To win a pitcher's duel on Friday, win a close pitchers, obviously a pitcher heavy game on Sunday, and then beat them 13-4 in the middle game. Are you? I guess as somebody who saw Miami, are you buying what you're seeing from the Canes?
Yes. Yeah. I now they're interesting because they're very young. Like, one of the things that flipped the switch for them was moving 2 true freshmen into the rotation, right? Like AJ Siskar is this sidearm, physical sidearmer, almost throws like a Tanner Houck. And I know that's a crazy comp, but it's sidearm and it's hot and he spins the heck out of his slider. And then Tate Darius is a freshman from New Jersey who was up to 94. And then, Daniel Cuvée, it feels like a slow year because his home runs are down. He does lead the ACC in RBIs. And then their shortstop, Ogden. I want to say Tate Ogden, but that's not the right first name. And anyway, Kyle Ogden, I think. We'll find it. He's a transfer from Barry University to UNC Greensboro to Miami. And is it Jake Ogden? It's got to be Jake Ogden. That's what it is. And he is glorious, Kendall. Like, the tools are underwhelming, but the game is awesome. They've moved him to shortstop. He, he bunts, he hits for power, he catches everything at shortstop. He's the perfect glue guy for them. So, and he's such a fun player that their team has T-shirts that say Ogden Baseball on it. They just, because Daniel Cuvée was so fired up about it, he just started yelling Ogden at the top of his lungs. And so they have fun with him. He's a great player. But just, kind of like, there's a reason he started at Division II, right? Like, the tools don't jump off the page at you. So I'm very impressed with Miami. It is a lot of young players. I mean, they're starting at least 2 freshmen per day in the position player group and 2 freshmen in the rotation. But they're good, man. They're a fun team.
Yeah, can I give you one more bonus team while we're talking about the SEC and ACC?
Yeah,
we do have to give the Florida Gators a little love. Speaking of Florida teams, the Gators over the weekend runs 2 of 3 from Arkansas. They win the opener 6-4. I watched a lot of that first game. And I thought Liam Peterson looked electric. I mean, that was big time stuff from him. In that series opener. They lost the second game 7-0, but they come back and on Sunday and win 9-5. And the one thing I really like from the Gators is from watching that final game, they've kind of got their groove back. Like, there is some I guess you can't say piss and vinegar on here.
Chutzpah.
Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of moxie, a lot of bar fight. And I didn't feel like Florida was like that earlier in the year. And I feel like this is a team now that, I mean, they're feeling it. And they've got, 3 straight series wins. They're at South Carolina this weekend. I think you got to feel good about that. And then, sets up a day with Texas here in a couple weekends in Austin. So Sully has the Gators head the right direction. Again, a team like A&M, to where we were a little concerned they might get that 13-win mark. All of a sudden, things looking a lot better for UF.
Yep, love it. All right, Kendall, we're gonna finish this turbo pod on Oregon, but let me whip us around some stuff going on before we get there. Big 12, just super cool. West Virginia and Kansas are going to play the final weekend of the regular season. They are the two best resumes, and I'll let you guys handle that on the Nerdcast. But West Virginia's 37-5 with an RPI of 15. KU is 35-10 with an RPI of 21. And so just super fun to see those two teams they're both really fun teams. There's a toughness and a grit there. So that will be fun to see that go down. UC Irvine sweeps Poly, and we still think Poly's a very good team, Cal Poly, but Irvine just bonkers how good they've played. Anthony Martinez hasn't really even played great yet. He's been fine, but he hasn't been bad. He's been totally fine, but not like a star like we think he is.
Yeah, what's interesting about Irvine, and I was talking to Fitzy about this yesterday on the rankings call, is, I made a comment about, Arkansas and Tennessee, because we really struggle moving to talk about the rankings for a second. We really struggle moving Arkansas and Tennessee down so many spots. And I kind of made the comment like, man, I don't know if I think they're better than Irvine. And, Fitzy kind of came back with, you know what, they might be like they're a, Irvine's a really, really good team. And of course he saw them over the weekend up at SLO. So Irvine really trending in the right direction.
Yeah, their reliever, Ricky Ojeda, is, I'm going to confirm it while we're talking, I believe he is 11-0 as a reliever. He's got, that's right, he's 11-0 with a 1.99 ERA, which is so great. So you got that. And then before we finish with the Big Ten, UConn is on a 13-game winning streak because, of course, they are. Northeastern is on a 12-game winning streak. Selection committee, if you're listening, can you say Brookline Regional and send UConn to it? Do it. Make it happen.
What I want is Northeastern to host a regional, and then I call dibs on covering it.
Oh yeah, rise up. The literal rise up Brookline Regional would be amazing. All right, in the Big Ten, and we'll wrap it with this, KR. Iowa sweeps Indiana to go 20-4. I mean, just incredible the year Iowa's had. UCLA sweeps Penn State. It's a good Penn State team, but UCLA just keeps going on. And by the way, don't look now, but Rock Chalowski is a legitimate Golden Spikes Award candidate. Like, it's hitting 370 with a bunch of power, more walks and strikeouts, a bunch of stolen bases. He's gotten hit by a pitch like 18 times. So UCLA just keeps on keeping on. But the big result was Oregon sweeps Oregon State. And, I'm not saying they manhandled Oregon State. That would be unfair, but it was a statement. Like, it was loud to sweep Oregon State in that series. Now, I know they're going to play on Tuesday. And in fairness, like, Oregon's resume is weird, right? Like, you've got losses to Toledo and Rhode Island, a series loss to Ohio State. They're 0-2 against Portland in midweek games. And yet you look at them and, like, their shortstop Maddox Maloney is having an awesome year. Jacob Walsh is having his best year. Speaking of Golden Spikes Award candidates, Mason Neville, their center fielder, leads the country with 21 home runs. And then Grayson Grinzel is amazing. I am a little bit anxious about their bullpen. However, like, Oregon's legit.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And what's really interesting about this team is, as powerful as they are in a season where it feels like power, at least the home run ball, is down just a hair. Oregon's kind of one of those teams, like, they're status quo, man. Like, Mason Neville's hitting bombs. Guys like Walsh can hit bombs. And the thing I really like about this team right now is their starting pitching was excellent over the weekend. Jason Wright's a guy that, coming into the season was so excited about, because it's a big mid-90s kind of arm. He did have some command issues over the weekend with 5 walks, but also allowed just 1 hit and 1 run in 5 innings. You'll take that all day long for the Ducks. Colin Clark, strikes out 4, allows a run in 6 innings. And of course, my man Grayson Grinzel, I'm a huge fan of him. He gave up 2 runs in 7 innings and struck out 5. And by the way, it's a pretty good offensive lineup of Oregon State. So if Oregon is going to pitch at that kind of level, they are not only are they dangerous in the first 2 rounds of the postseason, they're dangerous to make a run in Omaha if they pitch like that.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Hey, Kendall, let's do one more thing. Let's take a quick break, and then I got one more thing for you. I got the Golden Spikes juices flowing. Want to say thanks to our good friends at Tecovas Boots. If you love our game, you know that smell. It's the one that brings you right back. Fresh cut grass, a broken-in glove, made with real leather. That's exactly what you get with Tecovas Boots. They're made for baseball people, whether you've been wearing boots your whole life, like Jack DeLachamps, who's actually only been wearing boots since Saturday, since Friday maybe, or you're picking up your first pair with over 200 steps of craftsmanship. They're built to last, feel great right out of the box, and look even better. Anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots. Find your pair today at Tecovas. Our man Jack Deschamps got his fitting, Kendall. It's on Twitter. It's on
great.
The site. It was amazing.
Yeah, he went to the Tecovas store in Charleston. Thanks to the fine folks at Tecovas for taking care of him there. And yeah, you know what? I saw the video of him in Austin with boots on, and it looked great. You know, he looked great. You know, the other thing I really like, by the way, brownie points for Luke Harrison, the UT's Saturday starter. You know, they sat down in the stands and did this thing about boots, and you know, Jack made a comment about the round toe, and like Luke goes, "Hey, well, yeah, and you know, some parts of Texas, like we prefer the square tip boot." So I just thought it was awesome that he gave Jack some different boot options.
Yeah, and Luke helping him out a little bit. I like that. So Kendall, here's what we'll wrap with. Our good friend Pat James has asked us to submit 5 Golden Spikes, you know, just names, so we can do our own D1 baseball poll, kind of where we stand with 3 weeks left in the regular season. And I was really excited about 7 names, and I'm going to give you my 7 names. And I struggled badly to take 2 out because it could only submit 5.
Okay.
Here's my 7. My 7 are Alex Lodis of Florida State, Mason Neville of Oregon, who we mentioned, Vahiva Aloy. By the way, Vahiva Aloy has got 65 runs scored and 17 bombs, playing the heck out of shortstop. Iva Arquette, Rock Chalowski, James Quinn Irons of George Mason.
Ooh.
James Quinn Irons is like 5th in the country in batting average. He's hitting like 460. He's leading the country in RBIs, and he's also got 25 steals. He's also a 6'5" center fielder. So there's a, you know, kind of off the radar candidate. And then my last guy was Liam Doyle. I do think Liam Doyle, like, people are hitting 144 against him, and he leads the country in strikeouts. So Kendall, here's you could add a name if you want, but my question is, who do I eliminate? I got to get rid of 2 of those guys, and I'm happy to tell you who I got rid of, unless you want to do it.
Okay, say the names again.
Alex Lodis, shortstop,
I meant
Florida
to write
State.
them down. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Alex Lodis, Mason Neville, center fielder for Oregon, and I'll give you the other shortstops. The other shortstops are Vahiva Aloy, Arkansas, Iva Arquette, Oregon State, Rock Chalowski, UCLA. So I got 4 shortstops. Then I've got James Quinn Irons, and I've got Liam Doyle. So you've got 2 center fielders. So I got to eliminate 2.
Oh boy.
So you've got 4 shortstops, 2 center fielders, and Liam Doyle. I'll tell you who I eliminated. I eliminated Iva Arquette, and I eliminated Rock Chalowski, and I hated doing that.
Yeah, that's what I was probably going to say, Chalowski for sure. I mean, you can't eliminate James Quinn Irons. I mean, how about these numbers? 437, 13 homers, 69 RBIs, and oh, by the way, he has walked 26 times and has 25 stolen bases.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jack Deschamps, he had a really good video with James Quinn Irons earlier this year. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. He was actually like on the team bus with him and did like an interview with him. So, but yeah, those are crazy numbers. I would add someone here for me. I don't know who I would kick off, but Kyson Witherspoon for me is electric. I mean, he was awesome last weekend against Georgia. Kyson, 2.35 ERA, 92 strikeouts in 65 innings, 14 walks, and a 192 OBA.
Incredible. He's having a huge year. In fairness, I tend to steer towards position players in this award.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless you're having like a Paul Skeens season.
Can I ask you to put some respect on someone's name?
Please.
I know this sounds outrageous. He's not going to win the Golden Spikes. But, I mean, Dylan Volantis has to be on the final list.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he has to be on the final watch list. I mean, Volantis was awesome again over the weekend. 52 strikeouts in 36 2/3, 6 walks, 172 OBA. And it's not easy to make Jace Lavalette look silly. Dylan Volantis was able to do that over the weekend. He is like Kevin Kopps 2.0 in terms of just how effective he is out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he's gnarly, man. He just cuts people up. It's just it looks,
and he's a great kid too. That's what makes it even better.
SoCal guy. Yeah, he looks unhittable. So anyway, the Golden Spikes went from very confusing to out of nowhere. It's going to be a really fun race. Like there's some really good candidates now.
You know what's crazy about this is like we're not even talking about Justin LeBron.
Yeah,
and I know
really
like he's
tailed off.
Yeah, he's tailed off, but I mean he's still an awesome player, and you can make a argument that Vahiva Loy is the best player in college baseball. He's been awesome up the middle at shortstop. His power, his electricity with the bat is incredible. He's been really good.
Yeah, the thing that for Vahiva Loy's hitting 370, everything's improved, but 65 runs scored, really, like that's an important number to me. Like it's not like he's some blazer. He's just a great baseball player who's on base all the time. And so, yeah, that will be very fun. Kendall, let's wrap it right there. We promised a turbo pod, and a turbo pod it shall be. That's it. Everyone, you see the coupon if you're watching. Omaha 30 gets you 30% off. Now is the time to get your subscription as we get head first into the postseason. That is it. Everyone have a great week, and we will catch you next time on the D1 Baseball Podcast.